Hi, it's Anna Haferman, and today I want to do an unboxing of some yarn that Universal Yarn sent me to review. And then we're going to we'll see what's in here, and then we're going to try to knit some of it up on the machine. Before I do that, I want to thank all my subscribers and channel members, my YouTube super thankers, and my Buy Me a Coffee donors. I really appreciate your support, and it really does help me make more videos. So, I was sent this by Universal Yarn. They sent it free of charge, and they are not paying me to review this. This is just my thoughts on some of their yarn. Now they do a nice, they have a nice selection. I've looked at their website, and I'll put a link in the description for the site and the yarns. So it says knit, relax, smile, repeat. Open it up. And it says, say hello to your new favorite yarn, which is sweet. This is a nice box too. So there's a card. I have actually already opened this up, but I have not done any knitting with it. The card tells me what they sent, and then here's the yarn. So, and a nice note from the lady who sent it to me from Universal. So I'm going to, I guess, start and show you what we got and tell you my first impressions of it. This is called Cotton Supreme Waves. It's 100% cotton. It's a DK weight yarn. It says light right there. It also says on my little paper it's DK. It's really nice colors. It's 100% cotton, so I'm not really totally sure how well it's going to knit, as cotton sometimes does not knit well on the machine. This one is called Cotton Supreme Waves, and I really like those colors. Then, let's see, we have this Philly. Now that's a sock yarn. What I really like about it is it's 46% cotton, 33% superwash merino, and 12% polyamide and 9% PBT. Now these are both nylons. So this is cotton and wool and nylon blend. The nylon is for strength for a sock yarn. This seems like it's going to be a really nice sock yarn for summer. I live in the southern United States, and it gets very hot in the summer, and traditional sock yarn is just too hot to wear, but this cotton blend might be really nice. So we'll see we'll see what happens with that. And this, I probably won't try this on the LK150 since it's a sock yarn, which is generally a little too thin for this machine, but I do have a Dean & Bean sock machine. I have some standard gauge machines, and I'm fairly certain it would knit up really nicely on those. Then, let's see. This is called Bamboo Pop, and that is, let's see what it says here. 50% cotton and 50% bamboo. It's a number 3, which is DK. I love this color. It's purple. And this looks like, since it's bamboo and cotton, it's probably going to knit really well. And this is a DK weight yarn, as is this one, the Cotton Supreme Waves. This one's thicker than this one. So like DK weight yarn is what the LK150 and mid-gauge machines generally like the best. It's kind of the sweet spot, but there's a difference between yarn weights and fibers. So this one also, I think I could feed the yarn from the middle, so I wouldn't have to rewind this. So that's a plus if that works. And of course, if this one works, since it's already on the cake, it's going to be, I won't have to wind it, which is nice. Here is Uptown DK. This is a 100% anti-pilling acrylic. It is also a light yarn, which would be DK. or number 3. I am almost positive this will knit up perfectly on the LK150, as acrylic is really easy to knit, and it's the right size, and I will have to wind this into a cake. I'm not going to be able to knit it off of this, but that's okay. If you are new to the LK150, this would be a perfect yarn to start with, assuming it knits up okay, and I'm pretty sure it will. A lot of people start with the mid-gauge machine and feel that they're like, what's going on? It's too hard. It's so hard to push. Why can't I get it to do this? And it's because they're using thick yarn, and usually they're using a worsted weight yarn. And while some worsted weight yarns work on the machine, others are just really stiff and don't work very well. So, and especially when you are new, you want to start with something that's going to be easy, because you're going to have a big learning curve. This is the sweet spot. So, okay. Now we have this, and this is a nice big cake of yarn. This is called Creative Fluffily. This is also, let's see, it's a DK, and it's an interesting blend of 40% cotton, 30% polyester, 20% acrylic, and 10% wool. So it's about 50-50 natural and man-made fibers. This one, it's kind of fluffy, and that's, I guess, why they call it Fluffily. So as it is a DK weight, and it's also already wound up, this will probably work out really nicely. It will have a sort of fuzziness to it, so depending whether you like that or not. I can see this as it seems to have some metallic, but that may be just acrylic that's shiny. But this would make probably a nice holiday sort of special occasion item, like a cowl or something like that. Then we have this. This is called Offbeat. This is another big cake. It's 150 grams, so it's a pretty big cake. This one is 90% acrylic and 10% alpaca. So it's got some alpaca in it, which gives it a nice sort of softness. This, I'm pretty sure, is going to knit up just fine. I can see making the sew as you go socks with this. That would be a perfect application for this. So I'm going to take out the machine and see what will knit up, and we'll go from there. So I've got all my yarn ready. I did rewind the 2 that were in skein form, just using a regular ball winder. I'll put a link to something like that in the description. I'll put all the links in the description box, and anything I forget to say in the video, I will add to the description box, so check that. Now this yarn is a DK weight. It's cotton, acrylic, wool, and polyester. It has this fuzziness to it. It's, I would say, on the thicker side of DK. I'm going to start in the middle of the dial. I'm going to start with 5 and just see how that goes. So I'm going to cast on. So far it's running through the machine. I'll just hang this comb. Just going to test them all out and see what I think, if they knit, and what my first impressions are. So, and I'll just knit that. Okay, so it's knitting. That over there. Well, it's knitting beautifully. Having no problem. I've got my mass tension on 7 and it seems to be doing just fine. I'm on 5 here. I could go maybe up or down 1, but 5 seems pretty nice. I'm going to try on 4 and see. That seems fine too. I mean, that is all a matter of what kind of gauge you're trying to get and what you're making and all that. But so far, it is knitting quite beautifully. Oops. And then if I wanted to maybe try a tuck stitch, I'll just see how that works, and I'll set my carriage to hold. And so I've got 4 tucks on there. I'm going to do 1, and they knit off just fine. So yeah, it's knitting beautifully. And whoops, forgot to put the carriage back to hold. So let's just try one more time. So yeah, I think it's working very nicely, and let's see what it looks like when we take it off the machine. It feels really nice and soft too. So I'm just going to take it out of the carriage because I want to rewind that so I don't waste any. Okay. So, look at that. It's quite nice. It looks really nice. It's very soft. It handled the tucking just fine. This would make a great cowl or hat or anything. Special occasion, I would probably hand wash this, so you may not want to make something for a kid, but it's nice and fluffy and soft. So I'm going to say yes on that one. All right. So now I want to try this Cotton Waves. Cotton Supreme Waves. Now this is the one I am not so sure about because it's cotton and it's 100% cotton, so it doesn't have any stretch. So that's something the machine doesn't always love. So you see how, for instance, this acrylic, when I do that, you probably can't see that, but it's got some stretch to it. So that that's something you that does play a part, but we'll see. It may work. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. So I'm going to cast on again. I'm using the same number of needles and just threading this one. It is really nice colors. And this is a DK weight, so it's not like trying to knit a worsted weight on this machine, which works sometimes and sometimes it doesn't. So with this, it's fairly thin. I'm going to start on number tension 4, just see how that goes. Okay, that did okay. Now, one thing about cake yarn is you don't have to wind it, which if you have to wind one ball of something, it's not that big of a deal, but sometimes if you want to make like a big blanket or a you know, something larger. Not having to wind like 10 cakes of yarn can sometimes be nice. Some people love winding and some people don't love it as much. So let's just see. Well, that's knitting pretty well. Fabric maybe slightly tight. Oh, I was on 3. I'm going to go up to 4. See how that goes. Well, it's knitting. And let's see. So it's knitting. And the fabric is pretty soft and pliable. So I'm going to say, yeah, it knits. Okay, so I'm going to start by going, remember we were doing this tuck pattern that went 1, 2, and then we pushed them all in. You can do this pattern with 1 color yarn as well. And with this yarn, because it's going to change colors, you'll definitely have a little bit more interest than just using 1 color. All right, let's see how that's going to go. So it is knitting. That was a small knot in the yarn. Let's go. But yeah, I mean, I would say this is knitting just fine. And being on a cake makes it quite easy. So if you wanted to make some special, you could do a sweater, something dishcloths, even though the yarn is, I think, kind of very nice for a dishcloth. But if you wanted to make a special dishcloth gift or a market bag or something like that, or some kind of pillow, it is knitting and it looks beautiful. So that's how we are so far. Now, this color changes are fairly blocky. So I'm actually going to just go to stockinette till we get to some pink and see how it goes. All right, so we're getting to that pink. There we go. Yeah, I'd say they're fairly gradual because you can see we're still kind of in purple and then we're going to get to pink. And don't worry, I am going to rewind this and use it for something. I really like these colors. All right, now we're getting into the brighter pink. Yeah, it's fairly gradual color changes. Let's see if you can see. So, I like that. Okay, and that's what it looks like. These are quite pretty. And that's what it looks like on this side. So it's kind of stripy, kind of gradual. But it's really nice colors. And it did knit on the machine, so I'm going to think of something to make with that. Let me know if there's anything you think that I should make out of that. All right, now we're going to go with the Uptown DK, and this is 100% acrylic. I can almost guarantee this is going to knit beautifully, so let's just try. Now this, in a lot of my hat patterns, I use DK weight acrylic. You can of course use wool, but I often use acrylic. And this would work for just about anything. If you got a couple colors, you could do the snowball beanie or anything like that. Anything you would normally use. Or it would make a baby blanket. And coincidentally, it is the same color as the worsted weight baby blanket I made in the last video. So this I'm going to start at 4. That's what I always start at if I'm kind of in the middle of the range. And okay, hold a little. What's happening? There we go. Yes, it is knitting wonderfully. It's got a nice sheen to it. It feels really nice. It is anti-pilling as well, so that would make a really good thing, anything for a baby or child, because you would probably washes really well. Let's see. I'm just going to try doing a tuck stitch. I gotta go into tuck. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, this is going to just be a perfect yarn to knit with. And if you are making anything for a kid, or this is a great choice. Also, if you are new to your LK150 or even to machine knitting in general, this is what you want to start with. Acrylic or wool if you want, DK weight yarn for a mid-gauge machine, because you're going to have to practice a lot, and this kind of yarn glides through the machine, so you're not going to be struggling with your yarn while you're trying to figure out what you're supposed to be doing. So I recommend getting a couple acrylic weight, DK weight, a couple different colors, DK weight yarn. I forgot to go back. Anything like that. You can use wool if you insist, but for practice, acrylic yarn is really going to be the easiest thing and the least costly to learn your machine. So that's what I suggest. Now, a lot of people will say, I knit bulky weight yarn on mine, and but those are people who have been knitting a long time, and they know what to do and when to do it, and they are not having to troubleshoot and figuring out when to change their weights, when to do this, when to do that. If you're new, start with a DK weight acrylic. If you have the LK150, if you have a standard gauge machine, you need to start with a fine weight yarn this size. If yours is bulky, you would probably want a worsted weight, but with the LK150, this really is the best choice when you're beginning, and then you can experiment and do whatever you want after that. So that's just my advice. Okay, so it's really nice stitch definition. All right, let's see. Oh, look at that. And it's very, it has a really nice sheen to it. It's really, when you knit it up, you notice how it's got a real kind of almost shine to it. It's really beautiful. See, I'm going to do this one, even though this is something I would knit on my standard gauge machine or in my sock machine, but I'm just going to try it in this machine because it's set up, and I'm going to go very low in tension and see how it goes. I like the colors here. It looks like it's going to have some fairly small stripes, so we'll see. I'm just casting on. I'm going to go down to probably tension 2 to start because this is such a thin yarn. And I'm going to adjust my mass tension. I've now got it down to 5, and it seems like it's doing okay. So I'm on 2. All right, so let's try. I mean, it's no trouble going through the machine because it's such thin yarn. But the fabric is going to be very loose because it's such a thin yarn. All right. But we went down to tension 2. And you can see how it's kind of loose. I'm going to actually go down to 1.5 and just see how that goes. And the colors are really nice. It kind of reminds me of the old Magic Color yarn because it's each strand has, it seems to have a white core and then go kind of change colors around it. Well, it is knitting. I would say this fabric might be a little too thin, but if you wanted to make something very thin, this might not be a bad idea. I most likely would knit this on my standard gauge, but I wanted to show you what the colors look like. You see how it's striping? It's quite lovely. And then if you do patterns with this, it's going to give you a really nice, the colors will kind of blend, sort of change and blend and in different ways. So I'm just doing my 1x1 tuck, see how that goes. So I could see making a sweater out of this, but most likely I will make socks. Okay, so see what we got here. It's quite thin. I think you could, it's workable. Again, I probably would do socks because we had, what did we have? I don't know how many, close to 40 stitches. We get this tiny little thing, but it is nice. It might make a really nice little cotton, you know, summer top, like a t-shirt. That would be really nice. I love these color changes. Okay, so let's see. Okay, see how it's coming from the ball. And it's coming out very nice. It's got this kind of hole in the middle, so it's not tight in there. So yes, this is lovely. I would probably, with this, make some kind of a t-shirt for summer. It's cotton and bamboo. It's going to be probably very comfortable. That's what I envision. Of course, you can make just about anything you want. I think it would be really nice for something like that. And maybe a little, let me go down. I was at 3.5, huh? I'm going to go down to 3 and see what that does. Of course, when you do your tension, after you finish your swatch, you let it relax some, so it's not going to look exactly the same. So you just kind of mess around and see, well, do I like this? Do I like that? And that is, so yes, it is working beautifully. And if you were going to do some lace, let's see how it transfers. So I'm thinking some kind of lace yoked item would be nice. Trying to avoid hitting the camera with the tool. All right, so I think this would make whoops, I should have put those back in work. I was trying to make eyelets, but you get the picture. So let's try a couple eyelets over here. I'm not going to hit the camera. So yeah, this would make a nice lace yoked top, or you know, pretty much anything. It's very beautiful. And yeah, see, that's very nice. Wow, and that's a really nice shade of purple. So let's look here. Okay, oh, look at that. It's quite nice. It's purple, but there's kind of 2 different purples in there, so it gives it a really nice look. Feels really good too. This might shrink if you wash it. I would definitely be careful with that and do a swatch first. So yeah, I like that one a lot. Maybe go up. Well, I'm going to go at 4.5 and see how that goes. up to 5. Let's see what we think of that. So it is blocks of color, but each there's sort of a white. It's kind of, I'm not even really sure what I would call that, but there's kind of white throughout, so it gives it this kind of faded sort of not faded in a bad way, faded in a good way look. So I would say if you like making blankets, this would be a good yarn, because it has a really nice feel. That was a little knot. It has a really nice feel, and it's there's a lot of it. There's 150 grams and some stripes to add interest. Okay, so, so it's interesting what it's going back to the pink now. So we'll see. This, I think, would be, I think it would make a nice blanket. The alpaca gives it sort of a nicer kind of feel. The only thing is there's a slight bit of drag when it's coming off the yarn, the cake, but not enough to make really any difference. So yeah, I would. This would make a good scarf too. And you know, of course, let's do or a hat or just about anything that you make. Let's try that bubble tuck stitch one more time. 3, 4, 1, 2, and oh yeah, this would make a really nice bubble beanie. I know a lot of you make those with a white fur pom-pom. It would be really nice. Ooh, look at that. Yeah, I really like that. Okay, so far I've liked all the yarns, so all right, here's what we have. Here's where I did the tuck stitches. Now they're going to relax and bubble out a little bit. And then it really does feel nice. And there's, yeah, I think a hat would be beautiful out of this, or the Sew As You Go slippers would probably be really nice too, because it's soft. The alpaca is going to give you a little warmth as well. So here are my swatches, and I know it's a big mess, but I am going to wind them all up because I can see using any of these yarns for, you know, different things. Blanket, summer top, socks, something for a hat or baby something, probably something holiday just because it's sparkly, and probably something summery for that, or something like a bag. Let me know what you think, what you would use any of these for, and if you'd like to see any different types of projects. And check the description because I'll put a link, and if there's anything I forgot to mention, I'll put it in there. So thanks very much, and see you next time.